Have you guys ever wondered about the October lull and whether it's real or fake? Well, you're going to want to pay attention. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that thumbs up button. Also, I want you guys to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you guys know what the October lull is. Let me know if you're currently experiencing October lull effects, or if you believe that it's real or not real. Leave a comment down below. Now, obviously, on this matter, I'm no expert. I've done no scientific studies, research, nothing like that. But again, we're going to use common sense, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the October lull. Now, if we look at the October lull and the word lull, look at all the magazines that's been published, the articles, the data, the DVDs, everything that people always relate to the October lull when it's that time of year during October, where you see a reduction in deer activity. They all seem to just like vanish off your property. They're completely gone, and it's the lull where people write all these magazines and articles to create publicity about the lull and things like that. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. Basically, the October lull, in my opinion, is made up. It's made up to sell magazines and publish articles and things like that. During the spring and summer, you have crops that are planted, you have certain food sources that deer focus on throughout the year. Now, when you go later into the season, into September, October, that changes. Food sources changes, the crops get cut, and so forth. But the fact is that everything that you see about the October lull is that it's too hot, deer aren't moving, they don't travel very far to eat, and so forth. Now, when I think about the word hot, okay, everybody says it's too hot, deer aren't moving. Well, let's rewind a little bit back to the spring and summer. Now, in the summer, depending what state you're in, it's 90 freaking degrees outside. It's 90 degrees, 100 degrees, 105 with the heat index, and guess what? Deer are moving. Deer have to eat 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, whatever it is. They have to eat, they have to move, they have to drink water, they have to feed. They browse, they're naturally browsing animals, they graze on beans and crops and all this other stuff. In the summer, it's extremely hot, and when you're driving down the road, you see deer out in the fields, grazing on beans and all the soybeans and in the cornfields. Deer are moving. It's 100 degrees outside, and the deer are out during daylight hours in the field feeding. So let's rewind a little bit into September and October. Depending on what state you're in, you got acorns starting to drop in September, late September, even into early October, the acorns are going to drop. Deer prefer white oaks over red oaks. Just a fact, they prefer that white oak tree. If you can find that if you got one oak tree, white oak on your property, guess what? That's where the deer is going to be. Now let's talk about this for a second. The food sources are changing constantly. You got the crops in the spring and summer, you got acorns, food plots in the fall and winter. Now in the winter, temperatures start to drop. Currently, right now, we're experiencing a little bit of warm temperatures. It's upper 60s, 70s, and one day, a couple weeks ago, we were 80 degrees outside. Deer are still moving. They may not be moving as much, but they're still moving. Majority of trail cameras right now are showing deer and bucks are hitting mock scrapes. We've been making tons of mock scrapes, deer hitting them during daylight hours. Now, we all seem to experience this lull during the time of October. Now, it's whether it's like the first week, second week of October, everybody says it's too hot, deer aren't moving, they vanished off my property, I don't know what to do. Well, the fact is, it's not too hot, it's just that the crops, the food sources have changed. Deer are gearing up for the rut. They may be packing on the pounds, they may not be traveling very far. They may be hitting the acorns and traveling maybe 100, 200 yards and bedding back down. But it's not just because it's too hot, it's not because of the lull, it's just an effect of deer hunting. It's hunting. The deer didn't vanish, they're still there. You just have to change tactics. You can't hunt that same food source, you can't hunt that same tree stand, that same travel corridor that you were hunting before. The deer are still moving. I was hunting over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we all saw deer. I shot a 10-point buck Wasn't massive, but it was a good sized buck for that area. You know, deer are moving. They were feeding out in the fields. They were hitting mock scrapes during daylight hours, and some people are seeing this effect where they're not seeing a whole lot of deer, and some people it's not affecting at all. It depends on what state you are, what food source you currently have, and what food source you have throughout the spring and summer. So this is just my opinion again, don't be bummed out if you're not seeing deer. You just have to change tactics. It's the October lull is basically, it's not because it's too hot. Yes, that may have some effect on the deer, but the deer still have to eat, guys. They still have to eat. They still have to drink water. They still need to move. They may not be moving very far, but it's not, I don't consider it an October lull. It's just the deer have changed their feeding pattern, their travel corridors. They haven't vanished, and it's not because it's too hot. It just doesn't make sense to me when people say it's too hot, the deer aren't moving. Because if you look back into the summer, it's 100 degrees out and deer are moving. The fact is, they may not be moving later into the season. You have to think about this of hunting pressure. In the summer, the deer are not receiving hunting pressure, so therefore they're more likely to show up during daylight hours. Now, if you go back into September and October, and depending on when your hunting season starts, they have hunting pressure, so therefore the deer are not likely to move during daylight hours. They're likely to move nocturnally. That's just the fact. You can't, all this stuff that's typically made up to sell stuff. The October lull is literally, the deer are just changing patterns. They're changing their travel corridors. They're gearing up for the rut. They may not move like they typically do, you know, to travel from bedding out to a bean field, 200, 300, 400 yards. They might be traveling 100 yards or 200 yards, but get in there, get out there, change your tactics, and I'm telling you guys, you will have success. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the October lull. If you're currently experiencing the effects of that, if you're seeing a reduction in activity. A lot of people I've talked to have not seen any reduction in deer activity. But leave me your comments down below. So smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.